Greetings. Welcome to Geek Talk. My name is Sabrina Lowery, and I am affectionately known as the Tech Evangelist. And I want to welcome you to Giving Entrepreneurs Expert Knowledge Podcast, where we talk about legacy, wealth building, tech, AI, lifestyle, leisure, and a whole lot more for entrepreneurs that are looking to get resources and expert knowledge from those that look like them, sound like them, or probably have a solution to some problems. So let's dig in. I would love to introduce our audience to what we are here celebrating this Women's History Month. And you can find this podcast on all platforms that you can find your favorite podcast platforms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And be sure to follow our channel on YouTube so that you can get those live notifications when we go live each week. So I want to take a moment and I would like to give a promotional shout out and let you see a little video clip that we have today. Upcoming on March 21st is our Ladies and Tech and Friends book launch. And I cannot wait to meet you, greet you, and sign those books at our official book launch in Towson, Maryland. Learn more at sabrinalowery.com. We have a brand new listing available at legacyrealtyandmanagement.com. So I'm going to invite you to follow Legacy Realty and Management on YouTube. And for all of your needs, technically speaking, we can get connected. Go to sabrinalowery.com. Super excited to get the show on the road with our very special guest. You all are in for a treat. I would like to bring to the stage the Shaun Chavis. Shaun is a content marketing strategist who specializes in Substack consulting for brands and high influence individuals. Her portfolio for her clients includes companies like health tech, age tech, femtech, and food. Shaun's previously owned a boutique content marketing agency, and she founded a health tech startup that won support from organizations like Google for Startups and AARP. Shaun is a former food and health journalist. Her work has won the James Beard Award for focus on health and made the New York Times bestsellers nonfictions list. Shaun also writes Redressing, a Substack newsletter about rebuilding wardrobes after discovering personal style after losing over 140 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Shaun.
Thank you so much. I feel very hyped up after that introduction. That's amazing.
You should, as you should, as you should. So, I want to bring our audience to learn a little bit more about you and what they might not find out on Google, right? In honor of Women's History Month, Shaun, let the people know, what do you do and who do you do it for?
Absolutely. My passion throughout my career has been helping people use their voices to tell their own stories. It's just that throughout my career, I've done it on different media platforms and with different technology. I started my career in newspaper, print journalism. I've worked in TV news. I've worked in national magazines. I've worked in book publishing. I've worked in content marketing, online news. I've done some podcasting myself. And now I have fallen in love with Substack. I started on Substack a little over a year ago, just as kind of like a passion project. And I'm sure we can talk a little bit about that more. But then as AI started to change content marketing and SEO, and I started exploring what that change means, I really saw how Substack could help individuals and brands really build community and build customer relationships and really get their brand stories come out. So to me, Substack is a new way for people to use their voices and to tell their stories. And if you go on Substack today, the stories that people are sharing now are so rich and amazing. It's such a great platform. And it makes me feel that there's so much potential in humanity. There's so many people who have so many expertise and interest in different topics, that it's really just a rich resource. And it reminds me that humans are amazing and we have unlimited potential if we just pursue it. So that's what I do for people. And I'm loving it. I'm having fun, Sabrina.
Oh, I am so thankful for you being here. We have our live audience coming in, and we want to just say welcome. Welcome to Geek Talk, where we give entrepreneurs expert knowledge. This platform is all about empowering, uplifting, being resourceful, advocating, and collaborating. So I'm so thankful that our special guest took time out on this Tuesday to talk about her passion project. So, Shaun, let's jump into the redressing conversation before we go into the journey of the food and wellness and health tech side of things. And then when you're ready, I will share your website.
Okay, that sounds great. So Redressing is my Substack newsletter. It's about rediscovering my personal style and rediscovering myself after losing 140 pounds. So when you lose that much weight, there is nothing in your closet that you can take over to your new wardrobe. Your size has changed that much. I went from a size 26 to like now I think I'm like a 8 or 10 depending on what brand is. So that's a lot. You can't tailor that down. So I started really to explore my style, and when I was in a larger body, I really felt disconnected from being able to access fashion. A lot of times I felt like style wasn't for me. If you've ever shopped in the plus size section, you know there's just not a lot of exciting things going on over there. Sometimes clothes over there can make you feel older or feel like you're not in tune with the style of the day. So I really felt limited and had grown up with that kind of mindset. It was just my own limiting belief, if you will. And so now that I've gone on this weight journey, I'm really trying to tap into. I really didn't have a style because I felt so disenfranchised for so long. So I lost all this weight. I was like, great, I can get a new wardrobe. And now I'm like, what's my style? So redressing is about discovering my style, putting together a whole wardrobe, and really kind of tapping into who I am as a person to inform that style. I want my style to be a way that I express myself and who I am. And I think that philosophically, if we are good at connecting our wardrobe so that our clothes are an extension or an expression of who we are, that's the first step in being able to speak up for yourself or being able to have a voice in the community, feeling confident in with yourself, and feeling confident to just put yourself out there. So I'm really enjoying this journey.
That's amazing, Shaun. And that's what gets me excited. I am going to go ahead and share your website so you can
Please
talk us
do.
through.
Yes. So redressing is a Substack newsletter that I publish twice a month, and I've been doing it for a little over a year. And it is basically again my journey trying to figure out how am I going to rebuild my wardrobe. But also I deep dive into things like marrying your identity and really kind of exploring your identity and figuring out how that shows up in your wardrobe. So, for example, I found this proximity to self survey by a fashion psychologist. That she shared this in her book, and it really asks questions that are like, do you find opportunities to use clothing to express your culture, or do you have opportunities to let your clothing make the statement and impression that you want? And there's, I think, 40 questions. And so like that was really eye-opening for me. I hadn't really thought about those things before. So there
Yeah.
are articles like that. There are articles about how to make the transition. Like if you're losing a lot of weight or your body is changing for other reasons. For example, I've had women who've had mastectomies reach out to me and say, they haven't felt confident in their clothes after having a mastectomy, and they really appreciate hearing somebody talk about their change. So yes, this is the content where I talk about style through weight changes, and kind of tap into the psychological part as well as some of the practical part. Like I had this wonderful bra fit expert in Texas talk about how to get the right kind of bra after you lose a lot of weight, because your shape changes, your body changes. So this has been both a practical and psychological journey. And I'm so pleased to have so many people sharing this journey with me, whether or not they have lost a lot of weight like I have, or they've lost some weight, or they've gained weight, because our bodies change as we age, or, just even like muscle changes and body composition changes and the way things shift as we age, or people go through their own health challenges and their bodies change because of that. So I've really tried to share my journey and then also be practical and just like help people. So this is some of the content. This lady was great. Like I need to have her back on.
I'm loving it. I'm loving
right.
it so much. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that so much, Shaun. And so when you want our audience as entrepreneurs to consider the wardrobe, the professionalism, the attire on a shoestring budget, talk about the thrifting side of
Oh
this.
my
I
God.
love that story when you shared that with me along your journey.
Yes. So I got laid off last year. And again, I was building my wardrobe. So I didn't have any fall clothes. And I had just moved from Atlanta to Baltimore. So I was in a different climate. And I needed clothes for colder winters, as well as I just needed a professional fall wardrobe. And I didn't have anything because my size had changed so drastically. And I'd just gotten laid off. So the money that I'd set aside every month from my paycheck to pay for clothes, I didn't have that anymore. I didn't have a steady paycheck. So I needed to build this fall wardrobe. And a good friend of mine said, you know what? I'm coming to visit you in Baltimore. She's from Iowa. And she said, we're going to find some thrift stores and I want you to put together a budget and I'm going to help you shop. And it wasn't just let's go thrift shopping together, but I had a lot of, again, limiting beliefs and fears and I was just intimidated about going shopping because of negative experiences that I had earlier in my life. So she really kind of helped me work through all of those issues. She was so practical and wonderful. Like what she did was such a wonderful expression of friendship to come visit me and say, okay, let's inventory your wardrobe. Let's take your measurements. Oh, guess what? You are petite. I didn't know I was a petite all these years. And she's like, so we're going to look for clothes that have this and this. And here are your shopping strategies. We're going to do this and this and this. We're going to take a picture every time you try on something. You shouldn't judge just by looking in the mirror. And, you need to give yourself space. And so we planned a 4-day thrift shopping adventure. We picked out thrift stores. We picked out consignment stores, different kinds of secondhand retailers, which was really a flea market. So that was really informative too for me. Like I really hadn't thought about all the different ways that we buy secondhand clothes. She was a big advocate for trying on clothes and going in person versus buying online, which I'd kind of been hiding behind, buying online. And I think all of us going through COVID, really got used to buying online, right?
Mm,
Yes.
that's something we gotta talk about. Everybody in the culture wants to do things online. So, how do we bring them back, Shaun? How do we bring the people back? How do we bring them back into the fitting rooms and get them to trying on clothes? What do they need to do to be motivated and inspired in that journey?
I think it is like, after my experience, I think it is really wonderful to bring a friend with you, like, and a friend who will be kind of like your wardrobe doula. I just made that up, but I'm gonna go with it. Like, and
Working.
right, and not just a friend who's like, oh, that's cute on you, like, when somebody who's really gonna, like, she really took the time to, like, let me, like, I filled up the cart, tried on stuff. She would say, like, hey, try this with this, or this will go with this in your closet. Or, like, hey, the patterns don't match at the seams, or, things like that. And to really, and took pictures of me every time I tried on something, sat down with me. Let's go through the pictures. Let's see what you really like. Okay, you've got this much budget and you like this many things. Let's make some decisions here. So you need kind of like that wardrobe doula. I think that'll help. And I think just it seems like everybody wants to connect with, wants to have more in-person connections now. Like, I think that's the theme for 2026, right? Everybody's looking for community and real life time with each other. And I think that's a really cool way to spend time with each other. Also, if you are like me and you're scared to go shopping, or you've had a lot of negative experiences going shopping, like, as a kid, I would, like, walk out of stores crying in tears because I felt like nothing that fit me made me look like I was the age that I was. So if that's been your experience, having a friend really helps,
Oh, I
So
love that. So I
yeah,
put that in the comments for everybody. I'm going to bring that into the broadcast, right? Get
awesome.
yourself a wardrobe doula, ladies and gentlemen, to help you along your shopping journey. That is one of our nuggets for today. Clip that.
I love it. I love it. The other thing, it's really interesting. Technology is helping to, I think, get people more connected with shopping in person. So there's this one company, it's a startup that I've come across. And actually, you might know, do you remember Morgan Wider from The Gathering Spot?
I
You know her?
do.
Yes. So she's been partnering with a company called Shape Shop, and they've created a system for uh, identifying which clothes fit which kind of body shape. The first thing to know is, like, all of us have been traumatized by, like, you're an apple or you're an inverted triangle, right? There's none of that. Okay. So, so it's all by color, and so, like, they will type your body style or your body shape based on a color. So you will be like a green or a yellow or a red. So you're kind of taking away the stigma from apples and pears and triangles, right? Or
I love
rectangles.
that. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so that's a good thing. And then the online platform, it creates a catalog for you. So, like, if you're a green, you get a catalog, I think every month, of, like, clothes that are for your body shape. So they will have jeans that are for a green body shape, or they will have blazers or, blouses or whatever, dresses for your body shape. And that, like, saves you a ton of time. The other part of their business is so genius. So they are now starting to work with retailers and manufacturers to add Shape Shop tags to clothes in stores. So you could go to the store, and if you know you're a green, you can just go through the racks and go green, 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 yellow. Okay, that's not me. Red, that's not me. Oh, here's another green, right? And that will help you avoid the tears in the dressing room,
That's so
right?
powerful. I love
Right?
that so much because I am a mom of boys, and I
Mm-hmm.
happen to have one son who is a fashion icon in this place. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Super hot couture. And I also have one that could care less about a fitting room. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
when they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and then my third son, who is all about the jewelry and the bling and the creases and the cuffs and the bow ties and
Hmm.
such,
Love it.
you need to be able to help them navigate those costs because K&G is expensive. That is
Hmm.
an all male warehouse, kind of supposed to be wholesale. They so retail, ain't nothing wholesale about it. When you want to get some redressing, my oldest son, who is the fashionista of the three,
Hmm.
does the thrifting and
Yeah.
talks to me about the experiences that he's come up on quite some novelty pieces.
Oh
So,
yeah.
talk to our audience, Shaun, on give them three best practices when redressing after losing lots of weight. Would you do that for us?
Yes. So the first thing that I recommend is don't trust what you think your size is. Number one, like size is completely arbitrary. One of the things that I learned from this thrift shopping trip, I have like I have clothes in my closet now that are a size 14 and I have extra smalls and they all fit. Like it does not make sense. Size does not mean anything. So what I recommend is go get your measurements. I like to go to get like a 3D body scan. Like some gyms have 3D body scanners and you just stand on a platform and it does like a 360 and it gets your measurements. And I do that every couple of months, especially while I was actively losing weight. So that way you have an accurate idea of what your measurements are. But you could also just get like an old fashioned measuring tape, have a friend help you to make sure it's straight and everything like that. It's not twisted, but get your measurements and then go by your measurements. Also, don't forget like little things like your rise, your arm length, your inseam, all of those things, your shoulder width, your waist, your hips, all of those things. And and shop by your measurements. When you go into, so that's my first tip, get your measurements. The second thing is when you go in the store, again, size does not mean anything. My friend recommended, and she was right. Like I was like, what are you saying to me? She recommended shopping in 5 sizes. So whatever size you think you are, like if you think you're a 10, then shop 2 sizes below the 10 and shop 2 sizes above the 10. Because again, size is arbitrary and you could fall in any of that range. And once you can kind of grasp that, then I think some of the stigma and pain that we have when that we attach to size numbers goes away. Like if you can realize that size does not mean anything and you could be anywhere from like a 6 to a 14, just do that. And then the third thing that I recommend is seriously like take pictures of yourself in the clothes, or if you have a friend, your wardrobe doula going with you, have them take pictures and then do a 360 video. And then so try on everything and then sit down and then go through the pictures and the videos and really think about what looks good on you, what you like, those kinds of things. So those are the 3 things that I would recommend if you go thrift shopping. And I love that your son is like finding the gems because like before I went thrift shopping with my friend, like I really didn't think I'd find a lot of interesting stuff. And I love everything that I found. I found some great designer pieces. I love the 70s, so, I found some vintage things that kind of helped me tap into that vibe. So you can find some great, great stuff. And as a matter of fact, Sabrina, did you know that secondhand shopping is now outpacing buying new clothes?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
amazing. In the
Yes.
United States, like secondhand shopping is outpacing, which is an amazing story for how much people are now. It certainly does speak to people's financial situations and the economy and how affordable things are. But also, like, what an amazing story for people tapping into sustainable practices,
Yeah.
because clothes are have a huge impact on the environment. And I think it's just amazing that secondhand shopping, clothes shopping, has become so popular that it's outpacing buying new clothes.
So take us back, Shaun. Take us back just to recap tips 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to bring them up visually for our audience, and then you can clip that. Okay. So let's go. Tip 1.
Okay, so tip one, get your measurements. Go to a gym, find like a 3D body scanner, get your measurements and or get a measuring tape and know your measurements when you go shopping. That's the first tip.
Perfect. And here we go. Tip two.
The second tip that I recommend is to shop in five sizes. So if you think you're a size 10, go two sizes below that. So pull eights and pull sixes, and then go two sizes above that. So pull 12s, pull 14s. Size is arbitrary. It doesn't mean anything. You could fall anywhere in that window, but try all of those on just to get the right fit.
I love that. And here we go. Tip three.
So tip three is when you're shopping, try on the clothes. Don't go by what you see in the mirror. Take photos. And if you have a friend with you, have them do a photo front and back, and then do a 360 video. Do a little spin. And then after you try on everything, sit down, look through all the photos, look through all the videos, and then make a decision.
Oh, I love that so much. That deserves a mic drop right there, Shaun. And so that is a perfect segue for our conversation so that we can just put up a brief ad and then we'll go into our second part of our conversation. Okay.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are enjoying the conversation with my very special guest and friend, Shaun Chavis. She is absolutely an amazing woman with an amazing story. I cannot wait for her to share her journey in her weight loss and more in the next segment. But first, I want to remind everyone that you can find just a moment. Hold on one moment. There we go. That you can find our podcast on all podcast platforms, starting with our YouTube channel for that visual experience. Spotify also has a visual podcast experience, which I love so much. That is my favorite podcast platform. And then, of course, you can find us on social media, live streaming on Facebook at the Sabrina Lowery Tech page, on LinkedIn at the Sabrina Lowery Enterprises LLC page, and of course, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. If you would like to be my guest on the show, it would be my honor to have you. And so I'd like to invite you to go to sabrinalowery.com so that you can learn more about being my guest. And we want you to make sure that you connect with Geek Talk. Set your reminders and subscribe for our upcoming broadcast. We have a very special guest next week, Billy Parrott. So let's jump back into the conversation, shall we? Shaun, I want to bring you back into our conversation. And now let's dive into your second story, if you will. In honor of Women's History Month, I want you to take the people back. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up. What was that weight story that you experienced all the way through to recently losing over 100 pounds? I am so thankful and grateful to have been a part of your journey, the before and
Yeah.
now the after.
Yeah,
Tell us.
you were there. Yeah, yeah. So I struggled with weight all my life, ever since I was a child. The first time my mother took me to a dietitian, I was 7 years old, and she took me to a dietitian on a military base. Like that is not that's kind of hardcore. But anyway, so I had been dieting and exercising and trying to lose weight ever since I was seven. I just went from diet to diet to diet to, trying to exercise. And I would always lose weight and then gain it back. And so finally, I became the diet editor at Health Magazine. And I weighed about 225 pounds. And at the time, I had an editor, my weight fluctuated between 225 and 245 pounds. And so I was a diet editor, right? Like I had access to all of the academic journals, all the scientific journals. I got to interview some of the nation's top weight loss experts. People sent me their books all the time. So I was getting all the diet books, all the books about the science of weight loss. I had access to all of this, and I tried some of it. And but I still struggled with weight. And of course, as I was aging, the health issues that come with having obesity were starting to impact me. While I was at Health Magazine, an editor asked me to write a story about bariatric surgery, weight loss surgery. And in the process of reporting that story, I learned that weight loss surgery could put diabetes, type 2 diabetes, into remission. And it seemed so extreme to me at the time, but I kind of put it on the back burner of my mind that if I ever developed type 2 diabetes, I would have weight loss surgery. So I tried everything. I did all kinds of diets. I worked with trainers. I would lose and gain and lose and gain. I did a liquid diet that was supervised by a university program with an obesity medicine specialist. I lost 56 pounds. I was under 200 pounds for the first time in my adult life. And like within 2 years, I gained it back plus some. I tried a couple of different medications. Again, like if I got to a point where my insurance wouldn't cover it and I couldn't pay out of pocket, some of these medications were $700 a month or more. And this is before GLP-1s like Ozempic. Again, if I couldn't keep taking the medication, I would gain the weight back and then more. And so finally, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had a lot of the problems that you associate with obesity. I had back pain so bad that I couldn't walk more than a quarter of a mile without needing to stop. My knees had a lot of pain. I needed knee replacements, but the surgeons wouldn't give me knee replacements because of my weight. At this point, I was weighing between 280 and 305 pounds. My max was 304 pounds. And I had sleep apnea. I had high blood pressure. I had all kinds of issues. And so my doctor diagnosed me with type 2 diabetes. And then she said, I think you should think about weight loss surgery. And I remembered that promise to myself, that I would have weight loss surgery. It took 2 years from the time of having that conversation with my doctor to the time I finally had weight loss surgery, because there's so much to navigate. Like my first insurance company wouldn't cover weight loss surgery. And I'd started with one surgeon, and when they charged, there was in Atlanta. So the average price in Atlanta is around $35,000. I couldn't pay that out of pocket. So, then I tried to find another surgeon in another part of the country. And then that wasn't a right fit for me. That was like during the height of COVID. And I felt like their approach just didn't fit well. They did have a great like patient support program that I tell people about, because they had like this psychologist who does this group classes. It was amazing. But other than that, there were some other things that kind of were red flags to me. So I eventually, knowing that I would have to pay out of pocket, and I was even like looking because I was an entrepreneur at the time that I was diagnosed, and I was working for myself. And I was like, okay, I need health insurance now. And, what I had just wasn't cutting it. So, I went back to the corporate America, got some good insurance, but I still paid for the surgery out of pocket, because I'd found a surgeon like right before I found my employment. But I ended up finding a surgeon in Mexico, in Tijuana. And it wasn't just price for me, but I loved their approach to food. One of the things that were red flags to me were with the previous surgeons were, like you go through a program with a dietitian where they're telling you how you're going to eat before you have weight loss surgery and then after. And the first two surgeons that I worked with, both American surgeons, their dietitians handed me a binder of processed products. Like it was like protein shakes, protein water, protein bars, protein, snacks. And I was just like, I don't want to eat processed food the rest of my life. And that wasn't how I eat. I mean, I was a cookbook editor. After I left Health Magazine, I worked over in the cookbook publishing division of Time Inc. I worked on cookbooks of brands like Weight Watchers and Cooking Light. And I loved cooking. Like I had 500 cookbooks. So I like eating processed food wasn't it for me. Like I've always loved cooking from scratch. And so I found this surgeon in Mexico, and his dietitian, her philosophy was that obesity is in part a disease of malnourishment, and that part of the treatment is nourishing your body back to health. And so she was a huge advocate of eating fresh, healthy foods, ditching processed stuff, and really kind of, tapping into whole foods, vegetables and fruit and good proteins and things like that. So I can't hear you. There we
Clip
go.
that. There we go. I
Yeah.
wanted to dive in on that part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your weight loss journey, it sounds like one of the key takeaways for our entrepreneurs is having a dietitian or nutritionist that was a part of the journey on top of the weight loss surgery, right?
Absolutely. And you really do need a whole team around you. You need the surgeon, obviously. And this is what I tell people, like weight loss surgery seems like a big thing, but the surgery is one day of your life. Whatever the dietitian tells you is the rest of your life. So a lot of people are always like, I got to find a good surgeon. No, you need to find a good dietitian. You need to find a good dietitian, because that dietitian will set the pace for the rest of your life. However you eat after surgery that's the way for the rest of your life. Like the surgery is just one day. You're going to see the surgeon before you have the surgery. You might have, you have a couple consultations with them before you have a surgery. They'll see you before they put you out. And then they'll check on you, a couple of times after surgery. Hopefully you have a follow-up program. But for me, the follow-up surgeon was different than the surgeons who actually did my surgery, right? So, you're not going to see that surgeon often. The dietitian's going to be with you. Like I have 5 years access to my dietitian, right? And I'm sure if I wanted more support after that, I could.
Oh, I love that. So
yeah.
let me jump in right there, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
this is important for our audience. I'm supporting and coaching and mentoring women that are on health journeys for various reasons. Okay. Diabetes may or may not be the factor, but I know a lot of them that may be pre-diabetic. And so if prevention is better than curing, which is how I was raised. Okay. Somebody hashtag that prevention is better than curing. Okay. I want you to talk to us about how that change affected you and the quality of your lifestyle, Shaun.
Yeah. So in terms of the whole global change, like as I mentioned before, like I had really tapped into eating whole foods, and not only as a cookbook editor, but before I worked at Time Inc., I was married to a Moroccan man, and he did not trust American processed food at all. He didn't want anything canned. He didn't want anything frozen. He didn't want anything that came out of a package. So I had to learn to cook fresh. Like we fortunately lived right next to the farmer's market in Raleigh. I had I knew where all the G.E.E.K farms were, and I had them on speed dial. So like when strawberry season came, boom. So I'd already I sat with his mother and his sisters, and I learned to cook Moroccan dishes and the way they do everything from scratch. Morocco has an amazing culture of salads, which I think is a whole nother thing to explore. But so I'd already tapped into really cooking whole, natural, from scratch foods, right? And really kind of, centering healthfulness. He was from Tangier, which is along the coast. So he was really into seafood. And, when you look at the tagines, it's a lot of vegetables and spice and seafood and things like that. And then, chickpeas and things. So, a lot of good, healthy food. So I'd already kind of tapped into that. And then, then I, became, the diet editor at Health. And then I, did cookbooks for Weight Watchers and Cooking Light. And if you remember Cooking Light magazine, I loved that magazine. But they were also really, a champion for eating and cooking from scratch and eating vegetables and fruit and really kind of bringing in all the whole foods not the retailer, but the Whole Foods approach of eating. Um, so so that was already part. But in terms of like understanding obesity, excuse me, I'm going to take some tea.
Yes, of course. Of course. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to just thank you so much for being here for this conversation on Geek
Yeah.
Talk with our special guest, Shaun Chavis. Please feel free to continue when you're ready.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, anyway, so in terms of obesity, what people don't know is it, 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 it is a chronic disease that is influenced by so many different factors. Uh, Genetics is a huge part of it. 70% of cases of obesity are caused by genetics, hormones, brain chemistry, sleep deprivation. We don't talk about that problem in the United States. Sleep deprivation is like, it's almost cultural, like it's a negative part of our culture. Like we all think we're supposed to be grinding and working hard and doing way more than 40 hours a week, and we're all sleep deprived. And sleep deprivation can contribute to obesity. Stress contributes to obesity. There are environmental factors that contribute to obesity. So there are all these things that are contributing to a condition, and it's hard to manage all of it. And again, like if there's a genetic or hormonal or brain chemistry cause behind your obesity, you don't know that until you go talk to somebody who specializes in obesity and can help you pinpoint what's going on. And then so once you learn that, then you can start paying attention to, oh, this is not just like managing calories, it's about managing my metabolic health. I have to go to bed at a particular time, and I have to make sure I'm getting good 8 hours of sleep, or I really need to strength train because I have to manage my insulin, and like though all of those other aspects, I have to find time to de-stress. Like you gotta gotta have your time to just unwind and manage your stress and take care of your mental and physical health. And if you don't pay attention to that, like it's really hard in this environment to manage your weight. And if you don't know all of those things that are factors, it's really hard to manage. So when going back to when I said, like, when you have surgery, you need a whole team. It's not just the surgeon. You also have the dietitian. You may have, and you need a diet. If you go down this path, you need a dietitian who specializes in helping bariatric patients, or now even helping people who are on GLP-1s, if that's your path, part of your your journey. Then there might be an exercise physiologist, or a personal trainer, or somebody helping you there. And then here's another big one that people don't think about, and it's really interesting. You need a psychologist or a therapist who understands weight issues. And what usually happens is, before you have bariatric surgery, you have to have a psych evaluation. And for a lot of people, that psych evaluation involves like a 500 question questionnaire. Like it's really intensely involved, but they really want to identify issues that might hinder your success. And that could be mental health issues, as well as your environment and the people you have around you and your support. What you believe and think about food, and like all of, like there might be some health conditions, that need to be addressed. But what usually happens is you have the psych evaluation before you have surgery, and then you never see the psychiatrist again. And that's like, to me, that's a broken part of the system, because I passed my psych evaluation. Obviously I had surgery, but where it really gets to be a challenge, a mind F, is after, right? Because you go through so many changes, and like nobody in your life can help you with that. Like it's everything from you're losing weight so fast that you don't recognize yourself. Like some people have what's called body dysmorphia, where they still see themselves as their larger self, even though they're many sizes smaller. And that is actually a mental health issue. It's not just like a perception issue. It's a mental health issue, and you need mental health support. Like you need that psychiatrist or psychologist or therapist to help you through that. Some people who have experienced obesity have been socially marginalized. They're touch starved. And so when they lose weight and all of a sudden they're getting attention, they're getting, romantic attention, or people are more interested in touching. Like I will share this with you. Like I remember I was in culinary school, and I had a kitchen towel tied around my right, like it was in my apron strings, like it was right at my waist. And somebody who was a friend, it wasn't like anything, but they reached out to grab the kitchen towel. I had been so touch starved, I jumped, you know? And so a lot of people who have obesity, struggle with that. That is something a therapist can and should help you with. Romantic relationships, like that might come back into the picture. Bariatric surgery is nicknamed divorce surgery because a lot of people go through divorce after having weight loss surgery. And then there's just as many people who, they find new relationships. They need help, navigating that. Your perception of your body. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to have weight loss surgery and I'm going to look gorgeous. Bariatric surgery does not make you look good. It saves your life. You will, you may have loose skin, and that's part of the journey. And that's, something that people need help with. To me, like, it took me 2 years to reach my weight goal, but to me, like, completing my journey would be addressing some of the skin issues that I want to have addressed. And for some people, it's enough that it causes pain. Like, some people have back pain because they have so much excess skin, or they have, leg pain because they have so much skin in their thighs. So, that the journey doesn't stop with having bariatric surgery. Like sometimes the journey is more, and you need support through that. Sometimes your friends stop being your friends. Like, you losing weight is somehow a threat to them, and that can blindside you. Even just like figuring out how to eat. Like I have a culinary degree. I've been a cookbook editor. My work has won a James Beard Award. I needed help. It took me a year to figure out how to eat. So if it's hard for me, like how hard is it for somebody who doesn't have that culinary expertise? You just have to keep trying things, and it's, going out to eat. Like, how do you approach that? How do you enjoy holidays with your family? Like, what do you do for Thanksgiving? Like all of that is all the psychologically heavy stuff that your friends and family may not be able to help you with, that you need the emotional and mental health support for. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big thing.
That's amazing. That is powerful. That is transformative. I want to give our audience an opportunity to connect with you. I am so excited to have everyone here learning more about our very special guest, Shaun Chavis. And you will be able to learn more about her, connect with her. At the end, she'll be sharing her contact information. Shaun, let's jump into the other website and share a little bit about the conversation that you have for our audience, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome. Let me bring that into our screen.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
I love Substack. So I'm gonna share like how I kind of like I've worked in journalism or content. So I'm a storyteller. And again, I love helping people use their voice to share their stories. And a story is so powerful in terms of helping people connect and helping people explore themselves, explore community, reach their goals. So I love sharing and connecting people and helping them use their voices to tell their stories. So again, I jumped onto Substack kind of as just a personal passion project a little over a year ago. And then last summer, a mental health company reached out to me. I was actually interviewing for a position there. And part of the process was they felt like SEO was dying. Like we've all seen how AI is impacting marketing and SEO and all of that. So they were looking at search engine optimization, if you don't know what SEO is. So they were looking at that and they were like, we realize that SEO is not getting us the same results as it used to. We also realize that, we have neglected customer relationships and we really need to build customer relationships. We need to get our brand story out. We've kind of, let our brand book sit up on the shelf. Can you help us figure out what would that look like to use Substack as a tool for accomplishing our goals. And so I put together a plan for them. It ended up not being a go, but in the process of doing that, I realized A, I love talking about Substack, and B, I was like, I know more about Substack than I realized. So I have been incorporating Substack strategies into the content marketing consulting that I do. And so my company is called Brave Evelyn. It's a place where you can come. I'm reaching out again to brands mostly in the health space or food space because those are my expertise. So I'm working with health tech companies, age tech companies, femtech, food that could be, it could be healthy food or not healthy food. And then, I'm happy to work with people in other industries and verticals. But what I'm really doing is helping those companies incorporate Substack into their content marketing strategy. And so what I do is I listen to you and what your goals are and look at what you are and what you're offering. And then I kind of evaluate what your competitive set is on Substack and help you identify what's your niche on Substack, what your niche could be on Substack, where's the white space. And then we develop a content strategy and figure out how to fit Substack into your content ecosystem in a way that helps you reach those goals. One of the things that I love about Substack and the impact of AI in marketing is, and I know a lot of people are intimidated about the way that AI has changed marketing. For me, I kind of feel like it kind of clears the space a little bit to let relationships and brand story and authentic connection really come forward, So that's what I love about Substack, because I think it's a great tool to do that. There are tools built into Substack where you can build community. You can, so you can build your community of people who really love your brand and love your products, and they can, you can tap into them for hey, we're thinking about launching something new, or do some customer discovery, or they can be your champions. It's really just a great place to connect with people. You can build better relationships with people using Substack. I totally love the platform. And again, I'm amazed every time I go into Substack, because there's so many people sharing so much interesting stuff. It's really just an amazing platform. And to me, it can give you a lot of hope about and encouragement about humanity, which I know that's challenging for some of us right now. And to me, Substack gives me hope to see all the cool things that people are doing and sharing.
I appreciate you sharing this with us and our audience and giving our entrepreneurs expert knowledge. Clip that. I want to ask you for 3 reasons why our entrepreneurial audience should consider Substack, whether it is for free or for fee, and why.
Absolutely. So let me give you three reasons why you should be on Substack. Number one, it is a great place to connect with your audience. There are people, creators, and organizations on Substack in every imaginable genre. There are people who are doing their newsletter for free, and there are people who are charging professional subscription kind of newsletters and building those on Substack. So there's a whole range of price ranges and industries, verticals on Substack. But it is a great place where you can find and build community. Substack now calls themselves a studio in your pocket. It's not just a newsletter. So they offer, you can do a podcast, you can do live video events, you can have a private chat, again, where you can start building community. You can do, video. You can do an audio podcast or a video podcast. You can have live events. There's a lot that you can do in Substack to bring it all together. And so what I tell people is this is a studio in your pocket, and you can choose what fits you, right? If you are not a good writer, you don't think you have it in you to do a newsletter and sustain that, don't do a newsletter. If podcasting is more your thing, do a podcast. But the benefit is you have that chat there connected with your podcast where you can really build up interaction with your audience. And so that's one reason that I recommend Substack, is because you can find a genre that works for you, a medium that works for you, and you can use it to connect with your audience, your target audience, and find your crowd. The next thing is that you can just grow with Substack. Again, like, you're really connecting with people, both your followers and people in the Substack community. It's a great place to start building relationships with others. A lot of Substackers now have like built like partnerships. They found sponsors to sponsor their newsletter. They've just built all kinds of relationships. And I think collaboration, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're a solopreneur, a consultant or coach, is really a great way to scale your business and reach new people. So again, Substack is great for relationships. The third thing is that you can monetize your Substack. So anybody can have a Substack for free. You don't have to pay anything to have a Substack. I was on Substack for months before I opened up paid subscriptions. So you can post on Substack all you want and not pay anything. But if you want to use it to earn money, you can do it in several ways. So you can open it up for subscriptions. The minimum that you can charge is $5, and then you could go on up. So if you were writing a professional newsletter, for example, and you wanted to charge something that people would expense it, you could charge something $50 a month, whatever. And the other ways that you can make money on Substack is a lot of people use their Substack as a lead magnet for their services, whether they are coaches or consultants. There are a lot of coaches, fashion stylists. My newsletter is about fashion, so I know who's in the fashion ecosystem. But style consultants who offer workshops or courses or things like that. And that's where they can make money that way. So there are a lot of ways that you can, and that's just one example. There was recently someone in New York Mag had an Instagram post where they were talking about how people are making money these days. There was a fashion Substacker who made $275,000 a year off of Substack. Half of that was from subscriptions, and the other half of that was from brand ambassadorships. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make money and monetize your Substack. So those are 3 reasons why I think you should be on Substack, and I'd love to help you get there.
Oh my goodness. I just dropped the mic and exit stage left, my friend, because this is why you are the powerhouse that you are. This is why I admire and adore you so much. You are always bringing the tech into the middle of your journeys. Even in every career that I've seen you pivot and move, you incorporate the technology. And we can geek out and just have our audience here for several more hours. So, what it sounds like to me is that we might need to have a collaboration and invite some people together for a live Substack webinar that we can
that would
actually
be cool.
some live learning. And if everyone would like to learn more about that and connect with Shaun and get close to her and all that wisdom she's got, Shaun, let's just close everything out. Let's clip that and tell the people how they can find you, connect with you. I've shared the websites, and I will put your LinkedIn up next. And thank you, Arlene, for being here. Arlene says she loves Substack, and she is also one of my tech sisters.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice to meet you, Arlene.
Yeah, she said she's done a couple of episodes in.
Oh, yeah.
So again, another powerhouse. Can't wait to have her on the podcast. Yes. Absolutely. So we are absolutely enjoying this conversation. I cannot believe that this episode is coming to an end because it's sitting in our couch in the living room and catching up with old times. But I want to just be intentional, right? Having this platform is a method of us curating relationships. It is also a way of us maybe doing business with those that will know us, like us, and trust us. And you are one of my trusted advisors. So, Shaun, let's close out and just share with the people your final thoughts and how they can connect with you.
Sure. If I could say any final thought is that A lot of people are intimidated by technology, but I love helping people tap into their voice to tell their story. So I want you to know that your voice is unique and your voice is necessary, and you should get your voice out there and find the way to do that that's natural for you, that feels right for you. But please know that your voice is valuable and you should be heard, and embraced. So use technology as a way to amplify your voice. And if I can help you do that, if there's something that I've said that resonates with you, you can reach me at Shaun@braveevelyn.com, or you can reach me through my Substack Redressing. You can just message me through the platform and I will respond to you. But I hope that you've gotten something out of this, whether it's been learning about being on a weight journey, or learning about a little bit about style, or learning a little bit about Substack and how to use Substack to support your brand.
Oh, I love it. This has been amazing. I'm always thankful for my guests for being here. Whether you are watching the live stream or you are catching the replay on your favorite podcast platforms, this conversation is transformative. I hope that you picked up those tips that were shared. And if you want that virtual experience, go on to YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, Facebook, and a little behind the scenes with my Instagram followers. Hey, y'all, we are live. And so, Shaun, I really do appreciate you so much. I have shared your contact information with everyone. And
Thank
so, in
you.
celebration of Women's History Month, I just want to remind everyone that this is a season of supporting women. It is better when we are doing things together, in partnership and in collaboration. In honor of Women's History Month, I find it very important for us to choose to do business with each other, to support one another, to hear, listen to one another's needs. You might actually be the solution to another woman's problem. And so, by listening, by taking a moment to just breathe, take a sip of your tea, and allow someone else to speak in a conversation, that's where the transformation happens. So I love it when I have my guests because I want to listen intently. There are things about Shaun that I learned this evening that even though I've known her for almost a decade, we didn't ever discuss and share with one another before. And these are those precious moments. So I want to encourage my audience right now. Do the thing that matters most to you, because your health is your wealth. And if your story resonates, if you resonated with Shaun or with myself, and you understand how this entrepreneurial journey absolutely intersects with the personal life journey and what that needs to look like, I'm going to encourage you to connect with Shaun or me, because that is why we've started these businesses and we are growing our businesses. So referrals matter. And we want you to think of us when you need the support. Let's check in with our audience. Yes, Arlene says, Happy Women's History Month, everyone. I'm
Happy,
so
happy.
excited. Thank you so much for tuning in. And she said this was excellent, great information, Shaun. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Arlene.
much for being my guest. I
Awesome.
really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all soon. All right. So hang back for me, Shaun. I'll be there with you in just a moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have another episode of Geek Talk, where we give entrepreneurs expert knowledge. And this podcast is powered by Sabrina Lowery Enterprises. And I want to remind you, if you would like to follow, subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and you can apply to be my guest at sabrinalowery.com. So that is what I wanted to share with you all on this evening. Up next, we have a very special guest. Billy Parrott will be coming into the studio and dropping all of her wisdom and nuggets as we continue our celebration of Women's Herstory Month. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to wish you all a great rest of your day. Take care.